modern day treasure hunt, a missing person, and a computer program? That's right, you're back at Brain Scratch, Case Cracked. I'm your host, John Lorden, and today we're going to look into the case of Randy Bilyeu. Randy is a 54-year-old at the time that he decides to go looking for this treasure. He is from Broomfield, Colorado, but travels to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And on January 5th of 2016, decides to take an inflatable raft, his dog Leo, and tells his friends he'll be back tomorrow and goes off looking for this treasure. So what treasure is this? Well, we have to talk about a man named Forrest Fenn for just a little bit. He is a Vietnam combat pilot, an art dealer, as well as an author. He is now in his mid-80s, but I believe it was in 2010, in his late 70s, right when he was turning 80, he decided to hide a treasure chest full of all kinds of gold, approximately $2 to $3 million worth of treasure in this chest, and he put it in the mountains north of the Santa Fe. Then he wrote two books. The first one, I believe, came out in 2011. It's called The Thrill of the Chase. And in 2013, another one called Too Far to Walk. And he has clues in those books about where this treasure could be. In particular, in one of the books, he has a poem. If you do a search, you could probably find this poem on Google. I did take a look at it for myself. I have to tell you, in terms of poetry, I really wasn't all that impressed. And this case of Randy going missing is not the only instance of bad occurrences to happen around this, which is kind of strange because apparently Forrest's whole reason for doing this is he's trying to encourage people to get outdoors and to go out into the mountains. Well, there have been people that have been injured, there have been other people that have gone missing but have been found, and it's also reported that some people have even uprooted their lives and hit some financial distress trying to look for this $2 million treasure chest. Forrest swears that to date it has not been found, or at least no proof has been given to him that it has been found, though some of the people that have gone looking for it insist that they know that they were at the right location and they didn't find it, so they assume that it has been found by someone. Personally, for this to be going on for the number of years that it has, I am highly suspicious of is it still out there or not. I'm pretty sure metal detector, it's a bronze box filled with gold, so if people are even close and they have metal detecting skills, I would have thought that it would have been found, but apparently that hasn't been reported. But back to the story of Randy. So Randy's friends obviously notice that he does not come back the following day. They try to call him for approximately 10 days. They eventually reach out to his ex-wife, Linda, whom he has two children with. I believe they're both girls, two daughters, and he also has some grandchildren with. She immediately contacts the Santa Fe Police Department to file a missing persons, and that's where her adventure kind of begins in all this. And she has written a blog, I'll have a link to it in the description box below, where she was very good about writing very often about what she was going through. And if you're ever faced with a missing persons case, there's certainly some lessons to be gained from her experience, and that's part of why she wrote this blog and still has it posted. And she keeps it very well updated. As a matter of fact, the last update, which we're going to review a little bit later in this video, was written literally today, the day that I'm filming this. The next day after she notifies the Santa Fe Police Department, people are out looking for Randy, and they do find his raft along the side of the Santa Fe. I believe it was approximately 9 miles away from where his vehicle will eventually be found, although, I don't know, the details like that are kind of hard to come by in the major media articles I'm reading on this. But on top of them finding his raft, they also find his dog Leo. And his dog, unfortunately, there's a picture of him right there. His dog, unfortunately, is extremely hungry. He's been out there for 10 or 11 days without food, but thankfully he has been drinking from the river. Linda, in her blog, talks about the people that actually find Leo, and that it took them about 30 minutes just to get him to try to calm down enough to give him a piece of a granola bar. I'm sure he was also freaked out by the helicopter that was buzzing around up and down the river there. But he has been recovered. He has been brought back to full health, and apparently he is being taken care of by a loving family. So weeks of search and rescue efforts continue and seem to turn up nothing. Linda organizes some volunteers, and once the official searches stop, she keeps doing her own kind of private searches. She's paying for all types of different resources to go out there. As a matter of fact, at some point, Forrest Fenn himself decides that he wants to help try to find Randy as well, and he winds up taking a couple of helicopter trips out there. There's a bit of a rub that happens between Linda and Forrest. It seems like the media is, and I saw some articles that kind of allude to this, they're kind of making Forrest out to be this kind of hero in this, that he was kind of leading the search effort that was going on. And the truth is that Linda was really doing all the organization of that, and one of her daughters was handling all the main contact with the official authorities. So can you blame Forrest for that type of media? I don't know necessarily, because unfortunately sometimes the person writing the story will kind of tilt it a little bit. So I don't know if it's really Forrest's fault for that particular aspect. But there were some harsh words and some weird things kind of said between them. For example, in one case, Linda wanted Forrest to let her know where this treasure was, just because she thought there was a very good chance that Randy would be near it. And Forrest said, well, if I told you where the treasure was, I'd have to shoot you. And of course, that seems pretty insensitive. Yes, admittedly, this guy is getting up there in age, but I would like to think that he still had some tact of some kind. And it seems like in their communications that wasn't always the case. So that relationship kind of severs and breaks. Now, I did find one article on this in particular that really grabbed my attention, so I'm going to go into some of the details about that here. Apparently, as Linda is organizing volunteers, she includes a retired DEA agent named Jerry Snyder, who is the founder of a missing person nonprofit organization called the Find Me Group. Now, Snyder has collaborated with an assistant professor at the Arizona State University named Paulo Shakarian. And Paulo is known for creating these kind of data analytic systems that have been previously used, particularly in war efforts, to help find terrorists and some of their munitions depots. And apparently, he had some success in that area. So Jerry talks to Paulo about modifying one of those systems and trying to make it a system for finding missing people. Now, you know, with the Searchlight show that I do, I've actually spoken to this a couple times, that I wish that there was better technology, particularly for finding missing people. And I was really excited to see about this system, which is called MIST, the Missing Person Intelligence Synthesis Toolkit. Now, how it works is you take 20 experts, which I believe were supplied by Jerry Snyder. They input some of their thoughts and feelings into the locations of where Randy might be into this system. Then they also fed the system 24 closed cases, solved cases, where they knew what the outcome was. And these same experts had put in information about those closed cases. So using that, the system then kind of weighs the opinions of the experts. It adds weight to their opinions, and it kind of pays attention to the ones that aren't so good at figuring this stuff out, and it raises the experts that seem to be better at figuring this stuff out. And then, of course, it cross-references that with the actual location for the bodies that were found for the 24 closed cases. It then spits out coordinates that kind of estimate this is where you should look. Well, apparently in late July of 2016, they ran the MIST system, they got those coordinates, they passed them to the police in Santa Fe, and a few days later, a U.S. Army engineer finds the remains of Randy. And it's in an area that has been searched before. And apparently the MIST coordinates turned out to be correct, and they are talking about modifying this system for use on homicide and human trafficking cases. Now, I would love to tell you at this point, that is the end of Case Cracked, and isn't it great we've got this new program, and look, it helped find Randy. But there was something about the story that was nagging at me. As you read it, it's funny because the title is very bold, and we'll actually take a look at that in a moment. But the logic of they got the coordinates, passed it to the police department, and then a U.S. Army, or a person actually working for the U.S. Army Engineer Corps, winds up finding Randy. So I tried to dive into those details more, and I could find numerous articles talking about the fact that Randy's remains had been found, but I could not find any information specifically crediting anybody, and certainly no information crediting this MIST system outside of one article that I found. And I also found kind of a reprint of that article where some wording had just been changed, but outside of that, it's literally almost a word-for-word reprint. I think it was some type of program that was used to steal that writing and repost it as someone else's. I've never quite seen anything like it. But outside of those two articles, which essentially were the same one article, I couldn't find any information to really support that this MIST system had actually helped to find Randy. And now this takes us back to his ex-wife Linda and her blog. So at this point, for the first time on Case Cracked, we are turning to the screen and we're going to fire up a few reference websites and see if we can figure out who really found Randy. So here at QZ.com is the article, and it looks like the heading is Psychic Computers. A treasure hunter went missing in the Rocky Mountains and a computer algorithm found him months later. Well, that kind of seems straightforward to me, although if you get into the details, that one little leap in logic doesn't seem to make sense. However, if you just gave this article a one-time read through, you'd probably assume, hey, that program actually helped find this guy's remains. That's certainly what I did the first few times that I read it. Also worth mentioning, yes, some of the team of experts does include information from psychics being kicked into that system. So I think that's where this kind of subheading of psychic computers comes from. But now if we jump over to Linda's blog, I've got a couple sections highlighted here that we can check out. This is just from August 31st, literally less than 3 weeks ago. As was predicted, the Find Me group has announced that their algorithm found Randy. They are also spreading false claims. Their 13 predictions were not even close to where Randy was found. The Find Me group continues to be a nuisance about requesting the coordinates as to where Randy's remains were found. Okay, first of all, their bogus article claims their prediction aided in finding Randy. Second of all, they are psychics. Hello, think about that for a minute. How Forrest Fenn could not have the decency to extend his condolences to Randy's daughters, granddaughters, or sister is beyond my realm of thinking, but we are all unique individuals. Some of us have a heart, some of us don't. I look forward to the day when the Today Show must issue a public apology to their viewers for endorsing a treasure hunt that they have no proof even exists. In Linda's opinion, Randy went searching for a treasure that is not out there, and it's hard for me to know if that's true or not. With how long this has been going on, if the treasure is out there somewhere, I would have to say Forrest's idea of giving clues to people isn't really that good. And even outside of that, I have to say his knack for poetry isn't that great. And in terms of clues, I don't know. Apparently he hasn't given the public enough information to actually find this. And his whole intent here is to get people outdoors, but to also help some family that needs the money. He essentially put this treasure chest out there into the world, especially when we were going through the recession, and he thought that it would be helpful to someone. Well, if it's sitting somewhere under a bunch of dirt, I don't think it's really helping anyone, and he has recently said that he's not going to give out any more clues. Is there a possibility that this is some type of scam to just bring him some notoriety towards the end of his life? Maybe. Is there some possibility that he's doing it to increase his book sales? I would think, you guys know, I've talked about this before, I'm kind of critical about authors nowadays. However, I did find that apparently he is donating all proceeds from his books to Santa Fe. As a matter of fact, they have named a day after him. There is a camping weekend for people looking for his treasure to get together that happens annually, and they named a day after him because he's brought so much tourism to that area. So He's not getting any financial gain, and apparently the guy doesn't need money if he's burying $2 million out in the world for people to find. But perhaps he wants this legend to live on after his life ends, and there'd be some reason for us to keep talking about his treasure and saying his name in the future. I feel like Linda might be onto something here, that maybe that treasure really doesn't exist, or maybe it's so well hidden that no one's ever going to find it. But she also wrote an open letter to the Find Me organization. To Find Me, Jerry Kelly Snyder, your organization helps to find missing people. You are in close contact with families who are on an emotional roller coaster. They are concerned, confused, feel helpless, and all they want is to find their missing loved one. This is a huge responsibility you chose to take on. I commend you, but then again, I do not. Why? Because I have recently learned that you claim your algorithm assisted in finding a missing person, even though it did not. You claim you sent your predictions to the Santa Fe PD in late July. Yet on August 29th, you were still asking the name of the lead detective. Common sense would be to send your predictions to search and rescue, but they never received them. Neither did the family. Regardless, Randy was found on July 12th. What purpose did your algorithm serve in late July? She also has a section, let's continue with the facts. You were never on my team of searchers. I, Linda Bilyeu, never contacted you. I never spoke to you. I never emailed you. I know for a fact that on August 29th, you were still pleading for the find coordinates. Really? You claim that your MIST program nailed the location. How would you know that when you didn't have the find coordinates? The article states, the area was searched more than once. The actual area was underwater, so boots on the ground was not doable. The surrounding areas were searched more than once, but the find area was unsearchable terrain. We got lucky with someone being at the right place at the right time, and that someone had nothing to do with you. That someone was a subcontractor for the Army Corps of Engineers who was there for their once-a-year visit. These were the people who found Randy. If they had not been in the area and the water level had not been low, it could have been another year before Randy was found. They deserve the recognition that you are so blatantly attempting to achieve. Now, he did respond, and she included it here. Our information is accurate in most cases within a half-mile to 2-mile radius, and in some cases the exact location. In Randy's case, our information was accurate within a half-mile according to your account. With qualified, certified cadaver canine support, a half-mile radius is easy to locate someone if we are that close to the victim. We offered our search and rescue professionals cadaver canine support and our airplane to the authorities, but they respectfully declined, stating they would be capable of handling it on their own. Now, first of all, let me say, getting it within a half-mile does seem pretty decent to me, and I do agree with him that obviously you could get some cadaver dogs out there and they would probably pick up the scent and make that distance. However, a big part of the conversation that's missing in his reply here is the timing. If Randy was found on July 12th and those coordinates came out in late July, I can understand why their request to assist was denied. The body has already been found at that point, so seems kind of odd to me that he's even kind of bringing that up, that they had tried to offer these services to help find Randy, if that initial time frame of the coordinates coming out in late July is actually true. She did reply one more time. The family was never made aware of those resources. And let's see, you provided 13 predictions. 6 of those predictions were out of a 2-mile radius. 6 of those predictions were within a 2-mile radius. The last prediction was in an unsearchable area. You had a 50% chance of having a correct prediction. Pretty interesting. Linda is obviously hurt, and like I said, I don't think the media is really helping in this case. I was really happy to find this information, so I personally have to thank Linda for putting the truth out there about when he was found, about the conditions of him being found. I'm a little shocked that, I don't know, I shouldn't be, but I am. I'm shocked that major media sources don't dig into this story enough to report the actual occurrence of what happened around finding Randy. I saw article after article that he had been found, but nothing referring to who actually found him. We now know, thanks to Linda, that it was basically a subcontractor of this Army Corps of Engineers out there doing some type of annual inspection maintenance. So that is how this case was cracked. That is how Randy was found. And unfortunately, this MIS system might have not helped in this instance, but I hope that these are growing pains with the system. I hope that they will continue to develop on this system, and maybe it will get us a bit closer to finding someone in the future. I do have hope for technology like this. I think it's a bit unfortunate that these people just seem to be not able to work together and coordinate together very well, although this is much after the fact. I mean, Randy's been located, so I don't know in terms of putting those pieces together now what the benefit would be. But that is Brain Scratch Case Cracked for this week. If you have any thoughts on this, please drop them in the comments below. And I just wanted to add that I am really impressed that Linda took this effort in the manner that she did, particularly this being the ex-wife of Randy. She did what was best for her family. She talks many times on her blog about how strong her daughters have been through this. I just want to send my personal condolences to the Bilyeu family, and thank you guys for being so active, for using social media in an appropriate way, for putting your truth out there. I really appreciate that I was able to dig this up and get rid of that nagging feeling I had from that article, and just reading the way that they just kind of threw those two events together. Oh yeah, we passed over the coordinates. A couple days later, he was found. It's unfortunate that writers have to do things like that to try to get attention. I really don't buy into it. But thank you guys for spending some time with me today. I hope you have a great week, and I'll catch you on the next show on the Lord Nerds channel.